Today was Zayin Menachem Av. On this day, the Gemara tells us the others marched into Zarim Nechnasu Labayas. They came into the Beis HaMikdash, and the actual destruction of the Beis HaMikdash happened on Tisha B'Av, but on Zayin Menachem Av is when it began. Now, the Gemara is not telling us this to make us sad. It's not telling us this to make us depressed. It's not so that we should wake up in the morning and feel down and disempowered, for sure not. Why is the Gemara telling us this? So that we should think about it, so that we should feel the experience, so that we should care, and that we should want to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash. Now, when we talk about rebuilding the Beis HaMikdash, tonight we're going to do a few things. I'm going to share a little bit of the Maimer. This is, by the way, I wanted to share it. This is my favorite sefer, Chassidus Mubaris. And I'm going to share a little bit of the Maimer that's in here. It's actually in Torah Ar, but it's one of the Maimer in the sefer, Moyadim Beis, and it's a Maimer that begins with the words Tzia b'mishpati pada. Also going to share something else from a different Sicha, and then we'll go through the worksheets. And all of that content will lead us right into what we were going to do to begin with. So, okay, so let's start with that. We want to build the Beis HaMikdash. That's the reason why we're told, even about Tisha B'Av. The whole point of marking Tisha B'Av is not so that it should just be a day on the calendar and we should have crocodile tears. It's really to get us to care and to inspire us, to give us chizuk in our avodah of bringing about repairing the Beis HaMikdash on a global level and on a personal level, fixing the churban that's within. Now, many of us, whenever we look for something, we tend to look, it's easier to focus on the Beis HaMikdash of the building rather than on the Beis HaMikdash within. My sister Rivki, actually had a interesting experience with this. When she was in first grade, she went into Yechidus with my parents to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Yechidus is a private audience. And the Rebbe always gave attention to the children in addition to speaking with the parents. And when she went to Yechidus, the Rebbe asked her, what are you learning? And she shared that she's learning Chumash. She said she's davening and whatever she said, but she said she's learning Chumash. The Rebbe asked her, what Parsha? She said, Bereshis. So the Rebbe asked her, Was hat der Eberste erschaffen auf die erste Tag? What did Hashem create on the first day? So without batting an eyelash, she said, Lichtigkeit. And then the Rebbe looked at her and said, Und wo ist die Lichtigkeit? Where is the light that Hashem created on the first day? Now, she looked outside where the sun would have been shining, except that it was the middle of the night. So she pointed to a street light that was shining. And the Rebbe shook with his head like, no, he was waiting for a different answer. So she had looked that way, she looked the other way, and again she pointed to a different light, and the Rebbe was like, waiting for a different answer. And she did it 3 times. And then the Rebbe, with a big smile, pointed to the light that was right on top of the table in the center of the room and said, Und was wegen die Lichtigkeit, was ist da? What about the light that's right here? And obviously, it wasn't just chas v'shalom, not to trick her, but to teach her and each of us a message. Because when we're looking for Lichtigkeit anywhere, it's so much easier we tend to look outside. We look through the windows. Where's the light? Where's my strength going to come from? Where's my hope going to come from? Where's that Yeshua? Where's my salvation? Where's the healing going to come from? Where is my desired goodness going to come from? And we look all around outside. And the Rebbe's message to that little girl and to each of us is, what about the light that's right in here, right in this room? So our efforts to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash really needs to begin with the Lichtigkeit that's right here, with the immediate space that we're in, and that's our inner Beis HaMikdash. The Navi tells us, Tzion b'mishpati pada v'shaveha b'tzdaka. Tzion Yerushalayim will be redeemed with halacha, with Torah learning, And Vishaveha, the captives, will be redeemed with tzedakah. So obviously this means on a very basic level to learn Torah and give tzedakah, and as a means, as a schula for Mashiach to come, as a schus for Mashiach to come, for the Beis HaMikdash to be rebuilt. On a deeper level, the Baal Tanya teaches something extremely, like it's so fascinating. Before I go into that, I want to share something. Each of us we know that v'ahavta l'reacha kamecha, love each Jew, love each of our fellows as ourselves. Many of us struggle with loving other people unconditionally. It's very difficult for us to love unconditionally. It's very difficult for us to respect others unconditionally. And part of that comes from the fact that it's very difficult for us to love ourselves and respect ourselves unconditionally. In Parak Lamed Beis, the heart of Tanya, the Baal Tanya says, there's only one way to experience true love. And the only way to experience true love is when we truly value our neshama as our essential selves. If our neshama is the main part of us, we can then experience unconditional love. Why? Because that's an unchangeable love. That the neshama has unchangeable respectability, unchangeable value, and unchangeable worthiness, unchangeable lovability. Everything else about us is changeable. Just the neshama is unchangeable and untouchable. So if we're making our neshama primary, to the extent that we make our neshama primary, that's the extent to which we could experience unchangeable love, unconditional respect for ourselves and other people. So with that in mind, we know that unless we know how to respect ourselves, we can't really respect other people. And unless we respect the value of our neshama, the value of Hashem within us, we can't respect ourselves. So if we want to experience true love in our lives, it comes back down to, if we want to experience loving, strong, healthy, meaningful relationships, we want real love, not just love that like flies away with the wind. We want real connection. We want real respect between us. What we really need is, first and foremost, for us to really have that connection with our neshama, to really respect, to really tap into that, to really embrace the value, the dignity, the worthiness, the respectability of our neshama. And when we do that, that's when we can invite true love, true connection in our marriages, in our family lives, and in all our relationships. So with that, now we can understand what the Baal Tanya tells us about this pasuk, Tzion b'mishpat tipada v'shaveha b'tzedakah. The Baal Tanya goes into a whole lengthy explanation, which is so beautiful, about the neshama's absolute beauty, respectability, and the value of the neshama. Tahirahi, how we say this every morning in davening. Elekai neshama shenasata bi tahirahi. My God, my Eibishter, Hashem, the neshama that you place within me, it's pure. And we say it's pure even before it's created. Why? Because the neshama in its essence is one with Hashem in a way and at a strength of connection with Hashem that even precedes creation. That's the level of purity of our neshama. It's actually one with Hashem's atzmas umahus. It's one with Hashem. And from there, we say, it's pure. And then we say, Ata barasa. We know the Zohar tells us there are 4 spiritual worlds. There are many, many more spiritual words, but 4 basic ones. Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya. And each of these worlds represent more of as they go down, right? There's less of Hashem's exposure. And with that comes more of the possibility for independent existence, for the assumption, for the illusion that we exist independently of Hashem. In Atzilus, Hashem is so exposed, his presence is so revealed, he is so true, it's so clear that Hashem is emes, that nobody who's in Atzilus that's the place, that's the spiritual dimension where we cannot feel ourselves as separate beings other than Hashem, because we're one. It's so clear that we're one with Hashem. And then comes Bria, which is the world of neshamas, that's the first place where it's possible for a neshama to feel that it's a separate entity. It's its own, it has its own identity separate from Hashem, even though it's part of Hashem. But Hashem's exposure is more concealed. Hashem is more concealed in the world of Bria, to giving birth, giving space for the illusion, even to the neshama, that, oh, I am an existence separate from Hashem. So that's why we say in our davening, first it's tahirahi, because that's where the neshama is rooted. That's where the neshama comes from that place in kedusha, from that place in connection with Hashem, where it is beyond, above and beyond. It doesn't even feel itself as an independent existence. It just feels one with Hashem. From there, it goes to Bria, where it feels itself already as an existence. And then it goes to Yetzira, it has even more of a form. And then it goes to Asiya and comes into our bodies. So that's why we say in the tefillah every morning, Elikai neshama, my God, the neshama that you placed within me, it's pure, it's completely pure. You created it, that represents the world of Bria. You formed it, that represents the world of Yetzira. Ata Yetzarta is the world of Yetzira. Va'ata nafachta bi, you blew it within me. And then we say, Va'ata meshamara b'kirbi. It's impossible for, how is it possible for an infinite creation, something that's infinite, to be contained within a finite space? How is it possible for a neshama to be contained within a body? It's impossible. The only thing that makes it possible is Va'ata meshamara b'kirbi. Hashem guards it within us. For that, Hashem utilizes a part of himself. It's called Ar Seive, the light that surrounds, that guards the neshama within the body. Why is it possible? Because this is, when we're already giving levels, oh, this is infinite Hashem and that's finite Hashem, the fact that we're able to identify is already a limitation. If you're a preschool teacher, like I am, I work in a preschool, right? So we know we like to use blocks that don't have any colors, not red, not blue, not yellow. All preschool blocks are colored in a neutral color of wood. Why? Most preschool blocks are colored in a neutral color of wood. Why? Because we want to give space to infinite possibilities for the children to create anything they want. Once it has a color, it already has a definition. It's already limiting the possibilities for what a child could create. That's just a little example of another way that this idea expresses itself. Once we create, the Baal Tanya once said, to say that God is the creator of the world, it's already a limit on Hashem. It's already a limit on who he is. What do you mean he's the creator? He's much, much more than the creator. It's like, I'm a little bit of I happen to my family and we eat organic produce. I like organic produce. I'm into that. So if someone would call me, oh, you're a granola person, right? Oh, you're one of these, you're an organic. To say that's like a little detail about me. It doesn't tell you my essence. It doesn't tell you my thoughts. It doesn't tell you my emotions. It doesn't tell you my personality. It's a little technical detail about me, right? None of us want to be identified by our green socks. Oh, you're the person with the green socks. What do you mean I'm the person with the green socks? There's so much more about me. So lahavdil elf havdalah, we can't say, oh, Hashem, he's the creator of the world. What do you mean he's the creator of the world? There's so much more about him. Hashem is infinite. Any definition, any label that we put on Hashem is already limiting, because Hashem is so great and so awesome and so infinite. So va'ata meshamra b'kirbi, this light, imagine like this amazing light of Hashem that constantly encircles us, surrounds us, wraps itself around us to guard Hashem's presence within us, because that's the only way that an infinite being, a part of Hashem, could exist, could be contained within our finite, within our limited bodies. So that's what Atam Hashem B'Kirbi, and then Kolzman Hashem B'Kirbi, Maita Ani Lefanecha. We each have that potential to recognize Hashem's reality, to recognize that Hashem is really the MS. Okay, that was just a little bit of a taste of the actual mimer. And now I'm gonna zoom ahead and just try to get to the idea that's connected to our topic tonight. When we recognize the immense value of our neshama, we experience a sense of love for our neshama. Obviously, we value it. And of course, we also value Hashem. We love Hashem. And we value our connection. We want to be connected because we recognize that He's the source of our power. He's our life. He's the essence of the heart that's beating inside of us. It's all Him. It's His light that's beating inside of us. And in loving ourselves and valuing everyone and everything that's precious to us, it's all Him. It's His light and His life and His energy, His vitality, His love, His goodness. It's all Him. So the more we recognize that, the more we're going to love Him, and the more we're going to dislike or fear or have a sense of awe. And I really don't want to be disconnected. It's like I've shared this mashal before of a guy who comes over to somebody who's in the hospital on life support. And this guy who's in the bed on life support is a multimillionaire. And the con artist who comes into the room says, you know, it's not appropriate for such a wealthy individual such as yourself to be in such a ugly environment. I have, and he whips out of his pocket this beautiful gold-studded, gem-studded container. And he says, all these plugs here that are here, I would plug it much more. This whole gold thing is much prettier. And obviously that's ridiculous because plugging it into he says, why are you plugging it into that little hole in the wall? You're much more important than a hole in the wall. Why do you need that hole in the wall? Plug it into this beautiful box. And obviously that's ridiculous because the hole in the wall, as much as it's a hole in the wall, that's the life support. We never would want to for a second take that plug out of the flow of energy that's giving me life. And that person is just a ridiculous fool. So our Yetzer Hara is like that ridiculous fool. And he says, why are you bothering with that box? Why are you bothering with Hashem? You can't even see Him. I'll give you something real to feel good about yourself. Go do something, build a house, write a book, get approval, get validation, get people to like you, put your picture a little bit on social media. You get a lot of like. Lose a little bit of weight. Come on, get something real here. And obviously, all those things I call people goodness are wonderful, and we all want people goodness. But if chas v'shalom, we replace that with what we truly value, with what gives us true love and true life, then we're in deep hot water. So the Baal Tanya says, "Tzion b'mishpat tipada v'shadeha b'tzedakah." On an inner level, on a personal level, who is the Tzion? Who is the Yerushalayim that's in captivity? He says, it's our neshama. Tzion, which means symbol, represents that deep part of a neshama, of our neshama, that's untouchable, our ava misuteres, that part of our neshama, that pintel yid, that's eternally, untouchably connected with Hashem. Tzion b'mishpat, it's a Tzion, it's a sign. It's called Tzion because it's a sign of Hashem, and our neshama represents Hashem. There's nothing in this world that represents the eternity of Hashem other than a Yid. Just like Hashem is eternal, our neshama, the Jewish people, is eternal. Just like the Jewish people is eternal, Hashem is eternal. So the neshama of a Yid is untouchable, it's unchangeable, it's invincible. And that's why it's called Tzion. But when we're out of touch with it, it's as if it's in captivity. And then there's something else within us that's also in captivity, and that's our emotions, vishaveha, the captives, the two sides of our hearts. Our heart, which should be feeling, if we recognize who is giving us life and how much value we have, how much we matter, just because we are Hashem's beloved children, just because we're carriers of Hashem's light. If we recognize that, that gives us a tremendous sense of love and awe of Hashem. And when we don't, it's as if our heart is taken captive. And it's not just a spiritual, concept. If we can't love our neshama, we can't experience love in any of our relationships. All of our other relationships are, first of all, ourselves using other people to validate ourselves, to find ourselves worthy. All our other relationships are the places where we're like, filling up our empty gas tank. And number two, we can't love other people because we can't respect and value their untouchable, their unconditional worthiness and respectability. So that's what the Baal Tanya is telling us here. Vishaveha, our hearts, if we don't feel passionate love and awe for Hashem, or at least an intellectual love and awe for Hashem, and love and awe for our neshama, and value our neshama for who we are, it's as if our hearts are captive. It's as if our hearts are locked up. We can't experience the full joy, the full capacity, the expansiveness of true love in any of our other relationships as well. And how are we going to release our captives from captivity? How are we going to set our hearts free? It's all about connecting with Hashem. It's all about recognizing, coming to that place of really thinking about Hashem enough, thinking about our neshama enough to come to a place of valuing Hashem for real. With this in mind, all of this, we can understand something else that's very, very interesting about Tisha B'Av. The Gemara tells us, the Gemara in Tainus tells us that when Bnei Yisrael cried in the Midbar, when the Meraglim came back and reported the bad news, and they gave them a whole bad, scary, fearsome report about what was going on in Eretz Yisrael. Lo Yinucha, we're never going to be able to capture Eretz Yisrael. We're never going to get there. We're never going to live there. It's not going to happen. Bnei Yisrael burst out in bitter tears. And Hashem said, you're crying for nothing. I'll give you I'm going to establish this day as a day of tears for generations. Now, Hashem loves us. Hashem loves us dearly. The Baal Shem Tov says Hashem loves us as much as a father loves his child who was born to him, an only child who was born to him in his old age. The Lubavitcher Rebbe says that the Baal Shem Tov gives that mashal for lack of better words. Really, Hashem loves us even more than that, but there's just no words to describe Hashem's love for us. So you tell me, my dear friends, when you love someone and they're crying, let's say they're crying for nothing. What are you going to say? I'll give you something to cry about. What kind of parent is that? What kind of consequence is that? I'll give you something to cry about forever because you're crying now. So what's the deeper meaning here? And the deeper meaning here is exactly what we were talking about before. We spoke about this also in the book. We talk about how in Yiddishkeit, believing is experiencing. The more we believe in Hashem, the more we experience his presence and his goodness in our lives. So in this situation, what happened? What happened with Bnei Yisrael? This God, this Hashem, this Eibishter, who carried us out of Egypt with 10 plagues, miraculous, miracles upon miracles, splitting of the sea, many, many, many more miracles at the splitting of the sea. All these massive, amazing, getting the Torah, seeing Hashem, experiencing a really intimate connection with Hashem, miracles upon miracles, having the man delivered every single day, all the miracles of the Midbar, being led by the burning, flaming light that chased away anything, winning the wars already, that they already, like winning the little things that were happening. Every step of the way was a miracle. Water, where did they have water to drink? It was all a miracle. And yet they said, Hashem cannot do this. So it wasn't, Hashem can't take us into Eretz Yisrael. So it wasn't a punishment. Oh, I'll give you something to cry about. It was more, if we cry in fear and in pain, Hashem cannot help us, then that is our experience. Hashem cannot help us. If we say, Hashem is not practical, I need something real, I need a real, tangible goodness in my life. Hashem's presence within me doesn't give me validation. I need a real person to tell me I'm worth something. Hashem's presence within me doesn't give me true respectability. I need this person to respect me. I need my husband to respect me. That's going to be my true respectability. You know what? If Hashem's respectability doesn't mean anything to us, then we will not experience the goodness of his respectability. If Hashem's value doesn't mean anything to us, we won't experience it. So that's the explanation of those tears. You're crying because Hashem can't? That's going to be your experience. Unfortunately, sadly, tragically, if we think Hashem can't, and we won't experience Hashem's goodness, we won't be able to overcome our challenges. Lo nuchal. It's never going to happen. Our challenges will swallow us alive. You know what? It's going to happen, chas v'shalom. Unfortunately, such is the power of our choice, for better or for worse. Such is the power of our need to choose our perspectives, the words we say, and the attitudes and the beliefs that we hold in our mind. It has so much power. So all this, as we stand on the eve of Tisha B'Av, we want to power up. We want to strengthen our belief in Hashem. We want to redeem our hearts. They should no longer, my heart should please Hashem. I want to redeem my heart. It shouldn't be any longer in captivity. And by the way, the whole idea of giving tzedakah has two aspects to it. First of all, it represents empathy, rahmanis. I'm going to show rahmanis for somebody who's needy. And with that, I'm asking Hashem to have rahmanis on me, for I am needy. Because really, to really open our hearts, to liberate our hearts from valuing otherness more than Hashem, from valuing people goodness more than we value Hashem's direct goodness, we really need Hashem's help for that. Yeah, we have to do our part, but we really need Hashem's help for that. So tzedakah is like, Hashem, I am poor in this. I really need your help. I'm going to help. I'm going to show rahmanis, and I'm opening up myself to I'm asking you for your rahmanis. And another aspect of tzedakah is it's a simple action. It's a simple action. But the fact is, it's a mitzvah, and it's a huge mitzvah. So with that, we're already liberating our hearts, because we're demonstrating that Hashem's mitzvah matters. Hashem, it seems like such a simple mitzvah, and that's why we tend to think, very nice, I'm going to do the more important mitzvahs. I'm not going to put $1 in the pushka. I'm not going to put the dime in the pushka. I'm going to do the more important stuff. But it's the simplicity of the mitzvah, that the simple action that Hashem wants. And by doing it, we really show, yes, Hashem matters. I believe, even though I don't see sparks flying when I donate $1 to tzedakah, I don't see the sparks flying. but I believe that I just brought down Hashem's light into this world. I did what Hashem wanted me to do. I made that dollar holy. That dollar is dancing in the pushka. And with that, just expressing that belief, we already liberate our hearts from valuing otherness more than valuing Hashem, from respecting other things about us, from giving so much weight to things more than Hashem in a way that distracts us from the attention, the focus, the value, the space that we give to our connection with Hashem, to Hashem's value. Hashem's value in general and Hashem's value within us. Okay, so all that was an introduction to what I would like to do tonight, which is summarize what we've done in the past couple of weeks. And I hope you have the worksheets, because I'm going to refer to them. Sorry, 1 second. Part 3 workshop. Opening it up here. Okay, so the bottom line of all of this is that the more, first of all, I want to just say, if you're on this call and you don't have the worksheets, you could email to info@energizeliving.org, not .com, .org. info@energizeliving.org, and I will email you the worksheets, or you can WhatsApp to 718-576-0338. I'm going to ask if somebody could put that information on the chat. If there's anybody here who doesn't mind to do that, put that information on the chat so anybody could read it. Okay, so let's go to the bottom line is there's just 3 little pages, and I'm going to focus on this one. Okay, I wish I could. Should I just pick up? What I'm going to do is here. Show it on the screen. You see it on the screen? Not really. I'm going to make people dizzy if I do this. Okay, we see here that disempowered little man and the energized little man, right? And there's a cycle for each of them. The cycle is who is our power? The more we the more we recognize that Hashem is our power, the more empowered we feel, because He is giving us our empowerment, right? So the more we attribute power to Hashem, I'm sorry, I'm gonna start with the disempowered little man, okay? When we attribute power to other people or things, and I don't mean the power to make choices, I mean the power to hold the power that impacts my life, not their own power. I mean, as a power to me, that they have the power to make me or break me. They have the power to pick me up or to put me down. They have the power to give me what I need or to hold back from what I need. That's what I'm talking about. So when other people or things are our power, then we feel helpless, because at the end of the day, we know we give more attention to their behavior, to their choices, and we come to the situations and to those relationships either as observers or as escapees or as victims, depending on what the other person does, or depending on how much, to what extent we're not putting our attention on our own choices. Because if they have the power, if the power is outside of that, if the power is outside of me, then I am helpless. I see myself as a victim. And from that, the third prong in the cycle is my purpose is, if I'm a victim, I'm too busy dealing with my mess. I'm too busy taking care of my bleeding heart. I'm too busy picking up my brokenness. I don't have a minute to think about my purpose. I don't have any ability to do something productive. What do you mean make choices? What do you mean do something meaningful? What do you mean contribute to the world at large? My life is a mess. I'm stuck. I got to deal with my mess, right? And that's a vicious cycle, because that in itself, that means we're not living our empowerment, and we're disempowered, right? That feeds into our disempowerment. And that is a vicious cycle that continues to keep us in a negative rut. And I put some things in the middle of that cycle, because remember we said there were 4 things that I was able to identify, and there's probably more, but we in our workshop identified 4 things that make us lose our sense of empowerment. And in this, I put it here, this person, when we're in this vicious cycle, my belief about myself is I cannot choose. I'm in misery. My pain becomes misery because I feel like I'm a victim of my situation and my circumstances. There's nothing I could do about it. My habits, I don't expect myself to change. I don't expect anything in my life to change. And my fear, I can't even think straight. What do you mean I'm gonna deal with my fear? I can't deal with that. I can't even think straight. Okay, let's jump over to the Energize cycle, which I call the invigorating cycle of energized living. Our power is, we realize that only Hashem has the power in our lives and in the world. He's the only one who has power. Everyone else and everything is props. Everything else looks like it has power, but that's an illusion. He's really the only power. Yes, people have the power to do things in their lives, but in my life, as far as I'm concerned, my life happens, the energy, the flow is between Hashem and me and Hashem. Hashem and me and Hashem. There's nothing else can get in the way of that. And when I recognize that He is my power, I also recognize that He empowers me to choose. He wants me to make choices. He gives me inner wealth, unstoppable, untouchable inner wealth. And I'm going to access that. I'm going to tap into it. I'm going to use it to make choices. And with that, we come to our lives as contributors, as givers, as wealthy people who have what to make, we have the ability to deal with our challenges. We have the ability because Hashem could. We can't, but Hashem could. And because we believe that Hashem could, and we believe that with the part of Hashem within us, we could, what happens in our life is that we actually can. And we make choices and we fulfill our purpose. We choose our perspective. We choose to plug into, we choose to power up with Hashem's energy. And we choose to show up minute by minute, choice after choice, situation after situation, in a way that reflects our dignity, in a way that reflects our respectability, in a way that reflects other people's dignity and respectability. And that feeds right back into, because we do that, every time we do that, we're actually powering up again. We're affirming Hashem's power. We're acting on Hashem's power. And that is what becomes a liberating cycle, an invigorating cycle of energized living. It's such a whole different, it's really a whole different perspective, a whole different way, a whole different ball game. On the next page, I just show for many of you who are familiar with the 12 principles and who it's meaningful on a personal level, I just wanted to show, because I didn't include this in the book and I probably should have, a short summary, a bird's eye view of how we divided up the 12 psukim, but I think it's clear and I'm going to skip it for now. And I want to go to the last page because this is where our work is. Hashem is empowering, the bottom line is Hashem is empowering us here and now. When I'm stuck in disempowerment, when you're feeling stuck, what should you do? Okay, what's a quick fix? Obviously, we said the most important thing is spend time every day thinking about Hashem. Power up and don't power down, right? That we said. But let's try to break it down a little bit. When I'm feeling stuck, what do I want to do? So we can jump in. Remember that vicious cycle is power. We're giving power to other people. Identity, we're seeing ourselves as victims. Identity other than our true self. And purpose, we're not fulfilling our purpose. Those are the 3 big ideas: power, identity, and purpose. So we want to jump in to the energized cycle, to the empowered cycle from any one of those 3 things. So that's why I broke it down into these 3 things. So number 1 is, I'm feeling stuck. I'm feeling weak. I'm feeling disempowered. I'm feeling like I can't do my life at all. Never mind doing my life with dignity. I just can't. Loi nuchal. I'm crying bitter tears. I can't do this. And I want to change. I want to build the Beis Hamikdash. I don't want to be stuck in the Midbar for another 40 years. I want to change. I want to get out of this. How do we get out of this? Number 1 is, a question to ask ourselves is, check the power. check the plug. You know, remember that famous Midos, A.B. Rottenberg's Midos machine? I love that first one where he has this amazing scientist and he created this whole contraption. This is in the 1980s, before there was such a thing as internet, before there was such a thing as like, you know, satellites on every home. This scientist created this massive machine, and you know what? And it wasn't working. And the little kid tells him, 1 minute, the plug, oh, the plug. And all of a sudden, the whole thing comes to life. I love that visual for me. It's like, where's the plug, right? Where am I plugged in? So the first thing is, am I attributing power to Hashem? If I'm feeling weak, if my machine is not working, my life is not working, well, where's the plug? What am I plugging into? Am I plugging into my true source of energy? Or am I attributing power to some box, some beautiful thing that might be beautiful, it might be wonderful, it might have wonderful qualities, superior looks and all that. It might have a lot of money, it might have a lot of influence, it might have all kinds of stuff, but it's not my source of power. It's not going to get my machine working. There's only one way to get my machine working, and that is through plugging it into Hashem, plugging it into my source of energy. So the first thing is, am I attributing all the power to Hashem? Who's holding the power here and now? And some questions to ask yourself to get to this, to get to the awareness is just say, who or what has the, look at the situation and like, think about it. Who's changing, who has the power to change the situation? Okay, and obviously if your answer is, well, my husband, well, my babysitter, my cleaning lady, my friend, my neighbor, my boss, my sugar, my daughter-in-law, whatever, anybody, if that person has the power, oh, really? 1 minute, power up, power up. Where is the drama and intense emotions in my life? And what's behind the drama and intensity? These are just other questions to help us get to that same awareness of like, bottom line, where am I plugging in? What am I doing to power up? What am I doing, reading, thinking about that's leading me to power down? Now, if we want to be proactive and strengthen our sense of awareness of Hashem's exclusive power in our lives, and we want to proactively attribute power to Hashem, make a commitment. And I want to suggest everyone could do this now. At the end, I'll look at the chat, and if you can share a commitment that you're taking on for any one of these three things, that would be awesome. Make a commitment on a daily basis. What will I do to show that Hashem is my one and only power? It could be something as simple as putting a nickel in the pushka every single day. Gedaila tzedakah shemekareves es hagula. It could be davening. It could be saying my da'ani. Make a commitment. Actually, if you don't mind to post it now, let's do that in order. I'm going to look at the chat. If anybody, I know, I wish I knew how to share my screen. Okay, if anybody could share, what's your commitment? What are you taking on? Take on something to power up every single day, including Shabbos. So if it's tzedakah, there's got to be something for Shabbos. So somebody's sharing, I'm going to say Krishma at night with Kriyas Shema at night with a Siddur. Wow, I think I'm going to copy you on that. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Let's get some commitments going. Share it on the chat. You could post it privately if you don't want to post it publicly. I'm going to listen well to others without my own input. Yeah, that shows Hashem's power. Because if Hashem has power, Hashem is holding all the power. Just listening, some of us, we can't listen to other people. We just get so nervous just from listening to their input because it's going to kill us. I can't hear if you don't agree with me because I will shrivel away. I will melt. I will faint if you don't agree with me. So being able to listen to other people respectfully is actually a way of attributing power to Hashem. Thank you. I will say a bracha acharena. It's so great because bracha acharena is so easy to forget. Focus on brachas as often as possible. Taking moments throughout the day just to think of Hashem's brachas that Hashem is giving me in my life. That is so, I love that. Thank you everybody for sharing. Let's go to the next part of the cycle. The next part of our cycle is our identity. When we see Hashem as our power, we see ourselves as carriers of his light. And because Hashem has so much power, all the power, that is a huge deal. And we hold that light with dignity. It gives us unstoppable wealth. It gives us infinite, limitless emotional strength, resilience, courage, dignity, all the goodness that we need, all the goodness that's our birthright. But when we don't, we come to our lives literally as victims. We feel stuck, we feel helpless, we feel weak. So again, in a situation when you're feeling stuck, another good question to ask yourself is, am I seeing myself as a person who's empowered by Hashem to choose? Just check, who am I? Who am I in the story? Who am I? Look in the mirror for a second. Who am I talking about? Who's the I that I'm talking about here? This story is happening to me, but who am I? Am I seeing myself as a victim, or am I seeing myself as a giver? Am I seeing myself as a carrier of Hashem's light? Does that mean something to me? Is that going to mean something to me here? Or am I seeing myself as Nebuch, a victim of somebody else's poor choices, a random accident, chas v'shalom? So some questions to ask ourselves is this: where am I behaving in a way that's different from the person I want to be? Because when we feel empowered, when we feel Hashem's awesomeness within us, we are not different. We act as if we want to. We act the way we want to act. We are the way we want to be. If I would have more respect for my power of choice, what would change in my relationships? How much energy am I investing in other people's choices? How much space do I focus on my own choices? I would suggest to do this as like, make a pie, make that circle. How much of my attention is focused? How much weight am I putting on someone else's choices? How much weight? How much value? How much is my own choice worth? Another part of this is, we all want people goodness. I want to share something. I remember I was in England this year, Baruch Hashem, for my son's wedding to my wonderful Shterna Ginsberg. And I spent the day in London with a wonderful woman who took me around to different seminaries. And at the end of the day, we were talking, and I said to her, because she was incredible. She could have just done her own thing, but she arranged an entire day. I think there were 6 or 7 different stops. Like I spoke in 6 different places, one after another. She scheduled this. I said, "You're amazing." And without batting an eyelash, she looked at me and she said, "I know. And so are you." I love that because, when people tell me I'm amazing, what comes automatically up for me is, you think I'm amazing? You should see what I did last night. You should see how I lost my patience with my kid. You should see how flagrant I was. I didn't put my keys where I should. I lost my glasses. I couldn't get my act together. You should have seen me reading the news after I spoke about how disempowering it is to read the news. That's what comes up for me in my mind. Anytime someone it's instant. You tell me I'm wonderful, that's what comes up into my mind. Now, all those things are true. But they're all things I have to do. They're things I would like to change. They're areas where I would like to grow. They have nothing to do with who I am. And they have nothing to do with who you are. So the next time someone says, "You're amazing," say what she said. "Yeah, I know, and so are you." But really take it in, because you are amazing. You are awesome. It's just the fact of life. So we may as well take it in. So the question you want to ask yourself in terms of your dignity, in terms of your identity is, actually, if I tell that to myself, if I tell myself I'm amazing, how much is that worth? How much do I believe it? Do I need someone else to tell me? Do I need a concrete evidence? Do I need an accomplishment to tell me that I'm amazing? Do I need a proof? Do I need a written certificate signed and sealed from some important person in my life, or some influential stranger? Okay. And here goes, on a daily basis, what will I do to help myself stay focused on my choices? Let's get some commitments here that we can share, because everybody, when you share your commitment, you are inspiring everybody else on the call and giving them ideas for what they could do to power themselves up. So what is something that you could do? What's a commitment that you could take on here and now to help yourself stay focused on your choices? Someone said, doing my stretches every morning, so vital to ushmartem es nafshesechem. Beautiful, thank you. Shema with more kavana, that's connecting to Hashem. It's also, by the way, anything that you do to affirm, attributing all power to Hashem, also affirms your ability to choose and your Hashem's place within you. Someone shared a famous actress. She once saw a famous actress getting in an elevator, and she said to the actress, you're beautiful. And the actress said, so are you. Nice. I'm going to get out of, someone says, I'm going to get out of bed on time. Woohoo. I like that. Write down a few choices in the beginning of my day so I can see I did them. How about at the end of your day, notice when you made a choice and celebrate it. That's also, you know, that's a great idea. And planning some choices. Today I intend to, written intentions is very, very helpful, or even just thinking about it for a day. I intend to be a chooser today. I'm going to choose. I'm going to pause before I speak. I'm going to think before I think. I'm not just going to believe everything I think. I'm going to think before I think. Have a written plan to commit to what is really essential to me. Wow, that would be a beautiful thing. Write down what is important to me. Thank you, Chana Rachel, for that. So last night, someone shares, Danit, hi. Last night, I was listening to a podcast and someone talked about taking a few seconds to set an intention to what energy you want to bring to the moment ahead. I tried it tonight after work and was so much better for my kids. Woohoo, yes. Setting an intention is amazing. Thank you. Thank you, Danit, for sharing that. Concentrate when saying brachas on food to consciously bring Hashem in my acts. Beautiful. Hi, Batya. Batya says, I'm going to write down a list of things that I'm grateful for. That's a choice to be happy. Thank you. Reconnect with a friend with whom I've shared daily victories and gratitudes. That is a great idea. Have a friend. I have a friend who I share with, I'm trying to stay off sugar. And her and I, we text. We used to do it every day, but now it's, let's say once a week or every couple of days. I'm still keeping to my commitment, or I'm not keeping my commitment, had a hard day. I was too tired. I noshed, I junked out. Having a friend who you could share your victories and your moments of choice is an awesome gift you give yourself and your friend. Thank you, everybody. These were great ideas. I think we're such a great group. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to the last thing, fulfilling our purpose. So in the Energize cycle, when we're giving power to Hashem and we recognize and we're holding our power of choice, we are energized and we're focused on fulfilling our life's purpose. We're very clear about what matters to us, and we can actively, proactively do what we want to do. Obviously, some days, you know, we have all good intentions and then things happen. So ultimately, fulfilling our purpose is not about getting things done. It's about choosing to let our neshama show up in whatever needs to get done. And so obviously, okay, this is a whole different topic in itself. I'm not going to get more distracted. But some questions to ask ourselves here is just, what's the focus of my attention here and now? Am I doing what I'm doing because I must? Or am I doing what I'm doing because I choose? It's a very, you know, am I washing my dishes because I have no choice and I have to do them? Or am I washing my dishes because I'm choosing to wash my dishes? If you're washing your dishes, you may as well choose to do it. If you're bathing your child, You're reading a book, you're snuggling with your kid, you're giving them attention, you're giving them love. Don't do it because you must. Do it because you choose. Volunteer for the job of being a mother every day. Volunteer for the job of being a wife. Volunteer for the job of being a person. Choose it, because if you're anyways going to do it, you may as well choose it. And also, when you consciously choose, you realize that you could let go of things. You know what? I actually don't want to wash my dishes. I think there's a better way. I think there's a better way to get this done. I can figure out something else. I can figure out a different system in this household. I don't have to be the one always wash. I'm just giving you an example. But let's start changing the language in our minds. You know, ask yourself when you're feeling stuck, or when you're feeling just generally lethargic and weak and disempowered, ask yourself, am I doing what I'm doing several times throughout the day? This is a great question. Am I doing what I'm doing because I must, or am I doing what I'm doing because I choose to? How much time am I spending in other people's heads? How much time am I spending in other people's heads? And when I say other people's heads, it's like thinking what other people are thinking. Thinking what other people are thinking is a very big time waster and a very, very big drainer. We are only responsible for our choices in this world, our beliefs, our actions, our behavior, our perspectives. We're only responsible for our choices, and that is a full-time job. And every inch of energy that we invest in thinking what other people are thinking, or wondering why they're doing what they're doing, speculating about it, getting into their heads, trying to figure them out, is a waste of time and energy. It's not our purpose. Obviously, if they're our child, then that's not wasted time. That's positive, productive energy, because we need to know how to parent them better. But if you know, okay, I'm not getting into this very late. I want to give time for everybody to share. Where in my day am I wasting or losing time in meaningless and destructive behavior? That's a great question to ask yourself if you want to really tighten up and power up your day. Reflect once or twice at the end of a week or at the end of a day. Take a minute just to think, where in my day am I wasting time? Where am I losing energy? Where's the leak? Where is the hole in my pocket? How will Hashem's reality make a difference in the way I do my life and engage in my relationships? Okay, I think though that question, if you answered the first two, then that question is already answered. So someone's saying, when I choose to do what I'm doing, I choose to do it, but I don't have to like it initially, 100%. Right? Doesn't mean you have to love it, but we're choosing to do it because we feel there's some value in it. The point is just to not to come to the situation or to the day or to the relationship as a victim. I'm not your mother because I have no choice. I'm your mother because I want to be. It's a blessing. And I'm happy to be here. And this moment is a choice. Every moment is a choice. I'm going to consciously show up for it as a chooser, not as a victim. Okay. Right. Sure. Do we feel like going to work every day? Done it. Thank you. Right. I don't. But overall, it benefits us, so we do it. Exactly. So that's the first level in the actually done it. That's what the Baal Tanya talks about in the Tanya, when he talks about the first step in developing our Beinanihood, our perfect alignment with Hashem's reality and our true self, is first do what you want to be doing overall. Don't worry about your emotions at first. The inspiration, the energy, the motivation, the passion, don't worry if it's not there. Eventually, if you spend time thinking about the value of what you're doing and the meaning of your work, you're going to love your work. You're going to appreciate it. You're going to value it. But the first thing is get to work, because it's what you need to do for yourself. And that applies obviously to every relationship and everything that we're choosing to do. Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. That was that was the conclusion of our seminar. I just want to say before I sign off that Mirza Hashem, my intention, the intention that I'm setting, Mirza Hashem in September, I don't know exactly which date, depending on exactly when school opens and how school opens, but my hope is two things I would like to do. I'm not sure which one is going to happen first or how exactly it's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do both on Zoom, but for sure, even if I do one in person and then also on, maybe one of them will be in person and on Zoom. But two things that I, Mirza Hashem, hope to do is, one of them is I want to do a Tanya share that will be a Tanya learning group that will be much more, not just the translation of the text, but literally a workbook. I want to make a Tanya workbook where every perek of the Tanya, especially the beginning ones, will have a couple of worksheets where we can actually develop a connection with our, be more aligned with our true self, with our inner awesomeness, with all that we've been talking about, because that's really the sefer, that's the classic sefer. That's like the fundamental text. And I think that we're gonna, if you like the book, this is like the graduate course, the master's level of, the book is like basically 101. It's like basic, but the Tanya itself takes everything on a, you'll appreciate it on a much deeper level. And it's not going to be like we're not learning about how to be a better Jew, although that's also a side benefit. We're learning about how to have a more wholesome life. It's obviously, they're very intertwined, because you can't be a better Jew without having there's no such thing as a better Jew. But I mean, it's not just about, some people learn the Tanya and it's about doing more mitzvahs and not doing averos. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about being more aligned with our neshama and the whole range of experiences and the benefits that we get from it, as we talked about at length in this workshop and in the book. So that's number one. And the other thing is I want to do a more detailed workbook in order of the book. And I look forward to sharing both of those with you. I'm very excited about it, actually. I'm going to stop the recording and we can open